Hey everyone, this is Hammad. Thank you for joining my channel, Cloud with Hammad. If you are new here, please subscribe. And if you enjoy watching my video, don't hesitate to subscribe. Our agenda for today is DNS. I actually created a small rundown as to what we're going to do. This is Azure DNS. Azure has two types of DNS, private DNS and public DNS. These are the steps that we're going to do. Before we delay further, let's get right on it. The best way for me to explain Azure DNS is just type in Azure DNS on Google and it has the best definition. Azure DNS is a hosting service for DNS domain that provides name resolution by using Microsoft Azure infrastructure. By hosting your domain in Azure, you can manage your DNS record by using the same credentials, API tools, and billing as you other Azure services. So before further delay, we will get right on it. We'll get to this Azure Portal. I logged in already. As you can see, we have services on the left. You can search the service up here as well. The first thing what we're going to do is we want to make sure that we are deploying a private DNS. You can just do private in Azure and it shows up here. Just click up here and then you will just add a new DNS, private DNS zone. Once again, you will use this subscription and then you will deploy in your resource group. I don't have any resource group, so what we're going to do is we will create one, and I would just put in DNS. I would say which location, West US region, and then I would put in my name, HS. That's easier. So click OK. It will create a resource group within the subscription, and that DNS will be in the subscription. Once again, name of that DNS, I would just do DNS. You can do actually let's do Dev.local. So it's just, you can do dev, prod, test. I just put it that way. Let's leave it as lowercase dev. And then resource group location. These are the location. You can put it in wherever you like. You just have to choose which the closest location cost-wise. I am in West US, so I'll for now, just for test purpose in the lab, I'll just use West US. And all you need to do is next. You can give yourself tags. Basically, tags are just for you. It's easier for you if you want to maintain a billing. Just type in certain tags for DNS. It will pull up all the information regarding to DNS terms of cost as well. Hit review, and then you can see here these are the information that you need to create a private DNS. All right, so it's going to deploy a DNS within Azure under name of Dev.local. And while it does that, what I'm going to do is go to the step 2, which is to deploy VM. Actually, what we did, we actually did this first. So we'll just move here, it's easier. And then we'll just go ahead and deploy to VM. VM would be virtual machine. We get up here. We can just select VM from here, or we can just click on VM here. I hope I'm not going fast. Now what we'll do is we'll create 2 virtual machines in different zone. I am in the west of US. So if I go up here and I do map US, so you should see that what we'll do is we'll just quickly pull up this here. This is extra. I'm right here somewhere in West Coast. I will create one machine up here and then one machine up there somewhere, and then we'll use this machine to connect to our domain that is we created inside the Azure network. So before the delay, we'll just go ahead and start a new machine. The resource group is the one that we just created. If you want to know further on resource group, go ahead and get to my other video that gives you a little bit introduction on how to create resource group. Name of the machine, I would just say DNS VM01, and then we'll just keep it at the region West US, infrastructure availability. For now, we'll just leave it for this. This is for redundancy. We have another topic to discuss on those. I will show you guys lab later on. Image of the machine, I will just use 2016, and want to make sure that it is using the size that we are using for test purposes, standard. It also tells you the cost for that machine per month. Again, user ID to log into to that machine, test user. I would just do add test user is fine, and then password. And we'll want to make sure that we can RDP into remote desktop into those machines, as well as what I'm going to do is just for the sake of the time, I am going to allow HTTP traffic so that when we install the IIS server, we should be able to like type in the IP or name of that machine externally from our local browser, and we should be able to see that machine rather than getting into the network security group and allow them in there. Go ahead, hit we want a existing license. I confirm, hit next. And then over here, we want to make sure that we are selecting standard HDD. There are different type of hard drives, standard, SDD, SSDs, and premium. Because this is a lab, we'll just use HDD. Otherwise, you can select premium SSD. The price goes a little bit higher than what it is. Encryption, we'll just leave it like this for now. And then we'll go ahead, hit next. In my other previous videos, I actually showed how to create network and how to associate subnets and assign public IPs to a machine. Feel free to go to my previous videos and look for that. And then for now, we'll just, since this is just basic for DNS, we'll just keep existing. As you can see, there is a virtual network by the name of VNet, and then this is a subnet that was created, and then IP addresses was also made over there. And then the NSG is basic. Inbound port is also allowed selected port, which we did in the previous screen, as to port 80 and port I think it was RDP 3389. Click next, and then over here we really don't want boot diagnostic at this moment because this is just a lab and no backup required. Hit advance, and then custom data if you have a script that you want to run for Linux machine or IIS. Extension tag again, review. It will do a quick validation, and will hit next. Okay, validation passed. You will hit create, and it will create as soon as the deployment submitted, and deployment is in progress. So this actually one machine was open in West US. What we'll do is we'll create another machine so that we have two machines, and we can basically use those machines, either IP or machine names, to be added into our private domain. So for now, we have machine being deployed. While this takes place, we're going to go ahead and create another virtual machine. Same process. This time I am going to create a machine in East US. Go ahead and select my resource group. Name of this machine is DNS VM02. I think that was VM01. Just want to make sure that it's the... You don't have to, just make sure that you understand which machine you ran. And then again, we'll just use 2016. Same cost, about $90 per month, I think. That's $91 here. Again, name of the machine that you will use to test admin. I think the other one I put it as test user. I just want to make sure that I remember that. And I would just... password, inbound port, Once again, we'll just use HTTP 80 and 3389 so that we can access the machine. Existing version license, I confirm. Next. Over here, you want to make sure we have same thing we did. So I'm just going to pass this quickly here. VNet, we're going to use the same network. It will pick up IP. Another one, security group. Next. One more thing that I think we should make sure we have it here. Okay, yeah, region. The previous machine was installed in West US. As discussed, we're going to move this somewhere in East US 2, ES. That's fine. And hit next. Change it to standard. Next, 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 next. And then I want to make sure that East US, that's the VM name. And then the first one we have VM02. And then we'll hit create, and the deployment is going to take place. Okay, so in the meantime, what we'll do is, this is already started. What we'll do is we'll try to log into VM01, and we will quickly assign, we'll actually install IIS in there. So let's log into, it has, you can see this machine has been created. This is the public IP. This is private IP. The name of the machine has not been given. We can actually do that here. Let's log in first here. So RDP. We'll use public IP to log into the machine. Click OK, connect, and then what we'll do is we'll just, this one was test user, and then password. Click OK, and it should let me get into VM01, which is in West US. Okay, this is VM01 that is in West US. We are logging into this machine. What I am planning to do over here is I am going to install IIS on this machine. And then once I do that, I will show you how to connect to that IIS machine. Also, I will repeat the same step for the VM02 that is in East US. I think you already have seen it, but I will show you how I'm going to install the IIS. We'll pause the video for a bit to get both of the machine IIS working, and then we'll just go back to adding those machine into our private DNS. This is loading. It's going to load the servers. Yes. And we'll go to server manager up here. This is also a good example how to install IIS to the machine, to your server. Let it load first. Okay, so we are in the server manager. As you can see, we have this dashboard. We will get to all server, and first we'll just, this is all server information. What we'll do is we'll start a role. We'll add a role to the server. It is IIS server. Go ahead, role-based features, hit next, next, and we want to scroll down all the way where it says web IIS. Okay, so let's do this first. We'll go ahead and hit add, and then we'll go next. And we don't have to use the framework 3.5. It's already on 4.6. BitLocker, if you need to, we'll just delete the machine. We'll go ahead next, and then next, and install. Okay, let me tell you a little bit about IIS so that it's much more easier for everyone to understand. If I do IIS, so excuse me, IIS is Internet Information Services. Internet Information Services, an extensible web server software created by IIS for use with the Windows NT family. What is it used for? Most commonly, IIS used to host ASP.NET, web application, and static website. It can also be used as an FTP server, and all the detail. You can Google it and it should pull up. I will show you how to connect to IIS. In the meantime, it is installing. We'll minimize this, and then we'll just go ahead and log into our VM02, which is already installed. Same thing for this one. While it does that, just going to log into my second VM, which is on the east side, and the user ID was different compared to the other one. This is test admin and password, and then click OK, yes, and now we are logged into a machine which is somewhere on the East Coast. Same thing, it's going to log in. Okay, so this machine is also loaded. We'll go ahead and hit Server Manager, and wow, it's slow. And then we'll go to Manage, Add and Remove Features. We just need to wait till it collects the information. Let's put this here. First, we put them into installation. Then we'll go back to our first machine and make some changes so that it is more easier for everyone to understand. It will all make sense in the end once this is all set up. New role. Hit Next. Role-based features. Role-based or feature-based installation. Click Next. Next. Once again, you will come down all the way here. Add IIS. You want to make sure it is on the 4.6 features framework, but you can use it on 3.5 as well. Click Next. All these services are installed. Install, and then there you go. It started to do this installation of IIS. Let's quickly go back to this one here. Still happening. This is done. Succeeded. Close. I would minimize this. One more thing that I'm going to do is to differentiate these machines. It's a little lengthier process, but it makes your life much easier to know which IP you are in. Go to C drive, init pub, root drive. I would edit this file. So this is, so we're just gonna make an adjustment here. We'll do 10.104 4.40.23.192. This is just for test. I would not recommend you to do that at your. So this is basically a machine that is on VM01. Okay, yeah, this is the name of that machine, and I also think it's a good idea to just do a, this is West US. Okay, click here, save, and then that's it. All you need to do is use this IP address 104.40.23.192. I'm just going to minimize and show you what I just did so that it will all make sense. And then I will copy this address, go to, actually let's do a private window, type in my IP, and there you go. So you can see this is how the domain name works. This is for VM West US, okay? And while we are at it, I want to also show you how to set up an internal machine name. So if I click on property here, you can see a DNS label name is not there, so click on none. And over here you can also assign an internal label for this machine. You can say, you know, VM01, VM01, DNS VM01. Okay, just a name. It would come up as DNS01, DNS VM01.west US. That's how it's going to show up. Click OK. If you save this, and then you go back to your private window here, you can access your machine also like this, DNS VM01 dot west US and DNS. There you go. So you have two ways. And even if it's public or private, doesn't really matter. This is another way to show the namings. You can connect with your IS server using IP, or you can connect your IS server using your name of the machine. Okay, that's done. Let's go back to our other machine where I was installing the IIS. I think this is also done. We'll do the same exercise, minimize this. We'll go here. PC, C drive, init pub, root, edit this file. You can put any name, like you can have your own picture up here if you want. Just make sure that you replace the name as IIS start to your machine here. Again, just give it a name. I would just give up here. I would just put in IP 13.82.145.173. And then you want to make sure that this is in East US. And then you have the name of the machine. This is VM02. Copy this, get up here, 13.173. I can see the name up here just to make sure that everybody understands. Bright 24, well, a little too much. 18. Let's extend it here. Okay, so you can see the name. Sorry about the red thing, but you know, that makes sense. Okay, close this, minimize this here, come here. Once again, we will change the name of the machine. Property. And you will give the label for this machine as DNS VM02. Again, VM02. And this domain is different. eastus.cloud app. Copy this for us to test it out. Here, VM01. Click save. Okay, and we come here. Again, we'll just create another one. Type in DNS VM02 dot East US, the cloud app, and then, oh, let me see what's going on here. Okay, we're just gonna go back and check one thing here. Let's go back to the portal. DNS VM01 East US, and that's the IP. I think this should be okay. Let's check it out. Let's first see if we can get the IP working. Copy the IP address, go to this page first, and then paste the IP. Oh, the IP works. So let me check what's going on, or maybe I can refresh it. Takes, okay, East US DNS VM02. Check out this here for a second. Go back to portal, and I would go back to properties. So DNS VM02, I would just say VM02 I'm not sure why it's not working, but this should work. VM DN mod VM02. I'm just going to change the name so that maybe something else is happening over there. East US, copy this one more time, save the record. All right, successfully happened. Name is already there, DNS. Copy this here, get to this page, type in again. All right, so it's working. So I think there was something going on with the name over there. So to recap, what happened so far is I've created a DNS private zone, created two VMs. One is West US, the IP for that, and the IP for the East US. And then I also gave the name for the VM, West, and by this domain name. Now the next step is to add those machines to our DNS zone that we just created for the private one. Go ahead and click on Private DNS. Now, as you already remembered, I created a DNS name was Dev.local. Click up here. One more thing that I would want to show you is that, sometimes you just need to make sure that you have the link. Click on here, virtual network link. Over here, you just create a virtual link. So whatever network out there within Azure, it will pull up all the machines that are in the system up here. So just say link DNS. Just give a random name, whatever works out for you. And then once again, which network we have up here, auto register, another one, I think link 2, and then we'll just use the East US. I think I probably installed the two different virtual networks, and that's why it's showing up like that. So we'll just wait for this to happen. I'm going to pause the video and come back up. The link is creating. All right, so I think the DNS link 2 is in still progress. What basically this does is whatever network you have in your subscription or even outside the subscription, what you do is you basically come here and you basically link them into to make sure that it will automatically populate all the machines in those network, and it will bring it to your private DNS. Okay, so both of them are completed. We'll come here to our overview, and you should see two machines up here, VM01 and VM02. They are both in different networks. Because of linking those, you can see that it's showing up here in our DNS, private DNS. The next step up here is just go ahead and hit record. Let's say the East machine was, so these are all private IPs for the machine. I think I mentioned you up here. So if I come up here, you should see that this is VM01, which is in West US. This IP is for private 10.0.9. We'll just say, hey, you know what, VM01. Copy up here, VM01, 9, just hit here, add a record. You can do any name. You can do, test VM01. Actually, test VM, test.dev.local. IP, you can give the IP, it's the same one that we created, 10. For VM01, copy from here. Click OK, and then it will create another domain that is dev.local. So I'll show you in a second here. Let me add the other one first as well. For VM02, grab the IP for VM02, refresh it here for a second. Copy the private IP from here. We will add that into our record. Copy up here. Go back to record. Ensure that this is out. Space, there's no space here. And then you can do a prod.dev.local. It doesn't defeat the purpose, but that's fine. Click OK. Now, what happens is we have created two records within the system for Azure to work within entirely inside the network, no outside connecting. So let me give you an example. If I copy up here dev.local and then prod and test, we'll go back into machine. This will not work outside the network. So if I do, for example, if I do like test .dev.local, it's not going to work. But because it's private inside the network, what we'll do is we'll go back to our machine. We can take any machine. Open Internet Explorer. I'm just going to disable enhanced security so that we don't get messages from Internet Explorer. What is this? And then we'll just do here test.local, and this should pull up our machine for West US. Same thing. I think you can see that this is the domain now. If I reboot, this machine should show up that task.dev.local. And then the other one we set was prod. So we'll go back to that location. We'll just do another one, prod.dev.local, and it should pull up. Minimize for a second here. Dev.local, prod. So it should connect with prod.dev.local. Okay, it's not showing up. Let me check it out. What's going on? Prod. We have the IP. Copy this here. Going to do prod.dev.local. Okay, so prod.dev.local is working. So this is basically what I did was the error message that I was getting was I was trying to access this domain machine from my other machine, and it was not giving me that error message. It was giving me that error message that page cannot be displayed. If I click up here and show you, the reason it's not happening is because the domains are not, like the VNet, the networks are not paired together. So if I go ahead and pair them, this should work out just fine. Since this is not a pairing class, pairing lecture, what we'll do is we'll just go ahead and use what we did was we went back to the original machine that we are, and then we put in the prod.dev.local, and it started working. So this was actually your private domain, private DNS lab. If it doesn't make sense, we can just do a quick, actually we have some time, so we'll just go here and then I'll try to pair those networks together so that, it would make sense to you guys. This is going to be our pairing lab as well. Up here. Pairing, and we'll add another pair. VM02, it's on this network. This seems like a bonus. So we'll go to, this is the name, copy up here. What we're doing is we're trying to pair this VSUS VNet to this machine, and we'll make sure we have all the traffic allowing it, no gateway. Pairing back would be, we'll just use this name to pair back. And then I want to make sure that we are connecting to this. Click add. It is pairing those network. So I think after doing this, once this is successfully paired, once I go back to that first screen and try to do the DNS, it should work for us. Yeah, there you go. So it means that, you know, the reason it wasn't working because we did not pair those two networks. This should also work. And there you go. So it's working now. So this is complete. One left for private DNS. Let's go into public. Okay, so when we get to DNS zone, and then over here we will create a DNS zone for us. There's a service called Frenom. It is a free service for a year. You can there are a couple of them: Frenom, GoDaddy. You have to pay at GoDaddy. I actually use this Frenom service. You can create domains and, you know, use those domain names to, you know, set up your DNS forwarding, set up your websites. I logged in. You can see I got so many going on here. Let's pick up this one. This already is forwarding to my, if anyone goes to Cloudwithhammad.ml, it will take me to this page. It's a forwarding that is set up. I'm just gonna actually disable that for a bit for me to show how the name servers work. So what we do is, once we create this, let's use this name, Cloudwithhammad. Copy and then I would just use the resource group and then name Cloudwithhammad.ml, and it's obviously created in VSUS. Click next, and then we'll create. So what it's doing is deploying DNS on domain DNS service for Cloudwithhammad.ml, and it will give me a couple of registrars name servers for me to add into my personal domain. So if I told you that, you know, I have this subscription I got here to manage tool name services, over here you can do a default Frenom they won't give you, but since we are using Azure machine, we'll use those DNS up here. So come here, so it created, register some numbers, servers, copy up here, pretty simple, add these, copy to, and that's about it. Click paste and you hit save. So these are all your DNS name coming from Azure. So whoever go up here, it will hit this DNS record. So DNS servers, these are done by registrars. Now what we need to do is, the next step is to create a DNS record. So for public, hit record set. I would just say, once again, just to test it out, we did a prod for VM East US, and we did prod for US, and actually we also did for test, right? So test dot dev.local. I think this is for West. So we'll use the same name. So for us to understand, I would say test, and we'll give an IP address for our VM West at 104.40.23.192. So 104.40.23 or 23.192.192. Click OK, and we have a record added under name of test. You can see up here, test.cloudwithhammad.ml. So we'll add another record for prod, and we'll just, this is to access your machine from your domain names. So this IP is 13, actually let's do this here, much easier. I would have gone to VM and copied them, but it is much easier for us to understand from here. 13.82.145 to .145.173. Click OK. So here what we did was we added those two machines, which is one is East, one is US, one name with prod, one name with test, and they will connect to different domains. So let's go back to, I'll copy this here. I think we are done mostly. Go to our private machine. We'll just use with Cloudwithhammad. There's nothing's going to happen up here. So what we do is we test.cloudwithhammad.ml, and there you go. So we have a West machine running with my DNS record test, and we'll just copy this, and we'll just use prod instead of test to show you that we have access with our machine in the West US. So you use a public domain name. You can have whatever. You can go to GoDaddy and get a subscription or free service just to test your lab out and connect with them. All right, so I think we are all set for this lab. What we did again is, let's just recap. We created a private DNS, I showed you, and to VM, install IIS, identified those machines as to VM 01 and 02. Once that's completed, I access those machines inside the network. I also actually did another exercise by pairing two VNet, just because we wanted to troubleshoot. I don't want it to leave you alone hanging and to what happened, so it makes sense now. And then next what we did was we created a public domain. We had my domain working. I used those and created two names, record, prod, and test, just like the one that I did in private. And then, we showed you the connectivity, and that's about it. I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. If you really enjoyed it, feel free to like it. And if you are again new, please subscribe. We will continue to do this web series. And till next time, have a great day.